Let's go to the next point. Let's go to the next slide. Hebrew women not in the truth make bad choices. Examples continue. So this is just a continuation of Hebrew women not in the truth making bad choices. Examples. It says ungodly Hebrew women prefer dating ungodly men who live a wicked lifestyle. It says ungodly Hebrew women solely operate on a strong sexual desire towards men and women. The next point says ungodly Hebrew women with mental health issues refuse to get treatment or medical help. They prefer to use drugs and live a party lifestyle to cope with their mental issues. So this is just somewhat we already got understanding in the other lessons on biblical femininity according to the Bible, but this just elaborate on the bad choices and decision making that a lot of these women are making, all because they're not in the Hebrew truth. So again, a lot of the sisters that's ungodly, they prefer dating ungodly men who live a wicked lifestyle. So a lot of these women that's not in the truth, they like to date the bad boys. Right? The guys that have the street cred. The guys that's popular of the worldly understanding. They chase after those guys. The next point says ungodly Hebrew women solely operate on a strong sexual desire towards men and women. So you'll have women, in the world, they just think about sex all day. That's all they want to do, just have sex with different guys. So with different women, right? They have a strong desire because their mind is not on Yahweh's righteousness. It's of a worldly vibration. And in today's time, the world vibration is just a promotion of sex all day, right? Just about a lot of these shows of today's time pushes the narrative of just having sex all the time, right? You can hear it in the music, right, that they come out on the radio stations with, or certain artists be promoting. They talk about sexual relations between men and women. You have the movies doing the same thing with sexual relations with men and women that's being pushed heavily in these movies and in the rap music or in the music in general. That's the vibration. And then it says ungodly Hebrew women with mental health issues refuse to get treatment because a lot of the women that have mental health issues, they refuse to get help, right? So they rather to cope with their medical situation with drugs, right? They rather do drugs rather than seek help from professionals. So that's pure ignorance or the lack of a Hebrew woman using common sense. So in this picture right here, as you can see, this woman is laughing with a man while in bed because they just had sex, right? But they're not focusing on marriage. See, women are the ones that's choosing to sleep in the bed with a man. So she's making a choice to sleep with this man in bed, but this woman is not married to this man. So a lot of the Hebrew women have developed casual sex partners, which that's not what they're supposed to do. Because, they're the daughters of Zion. And they supposed to be keeping Yahweh's law, statutes, and commandments. But as you can see, the title is Hebrew Women Not in the Truth, Make Bad Choices, Examples. So this just slides pointing out that it's imperative that the women be in the Hebrew truth so they don't make these type of choices. Because being in the Hebrew truth, you avoid these bad choices, as you can see. Okay? That's why it's very, very, very important to be in the truth so you don't develop these issues. The next slide says Hebrew women in the truth make good choices examples. So this is just an example of a Hebrew woman in the truth marrying a Hebrew man. So it says married to a Hebrew man. So this woman is married to a Hebrew man. That's when you know she made a good choice, good decision making. She repented from being a woman of the world. Right? This is just an example. So it says in this next point right here, it says repented from being gay. So this Hebrew woman, right? This is the actual picture of this woman over here, but she at one point in time used to look like this. Right? She used to try to be a man when she was in the world. But when this sister repented as a Hebrew Israelite, now she's covered up with a dress. Right? Now she has a head wrap. Now she identifies as being a Hebrew Israelite. See, that's a change. Right? That's a sign of repentance. So this is just an example of Hebrew women making good decision making or making good choices in their life. The change from a sinner to now a believer in this Hebrew truth. Okay? That's what it's getting into. The next slide says, Hebrew women in the truth make sure their mental health is together. So women that's in the Hebrew truth, they're going to make sure their mental health is together. Right? That's the golden rule, you know, that we established earlier. So it says they seek medical counsel for improving in their mental health. They put themselves in good environments for good mental health. They have a good relationship with Yahweh and Yahshua on feeding their spirit with biblical principles. They don't feed their mind with ungodly music, but rather listen to godly music or listen to other forms of music that is not demonic. So again, this is the understanding of a woman or women in the truth. They're going to make sure their mental health is together. So these are just key points to establish the consistency that a Hebrew woman in the truth is going to have to maintain that good mental health. And the reason why it kind of sounds like it repeated itself from the earlier slide is because I have to harp on this understanding to allow our sisters to get the point of this mental health issue, because the daughters of Zion are really struggling with mental health issues. Based upon the Hebrew women being involved with a lot of men, or based upon their life stories. Based upon their problematic life stories, based upon childhood, or based upon bad relationships that turned them into developing bad mental problems down the road. But this is imperative and essential for the Hebrew women to understand that their mental health need to be together if they want to be consistent and staying in the right spirit of the Most High. And this is just an example of a lady right here talking with a counselor or a therapist or a psychiatrist about her problems. So that's why I have the imagery right here, so you can see the example of a woman operating in the right spirit of the Most High. She's going to seek this understanding. She's going to exemplify this understanding. She's going to seek this understanding to get her mental health under control. Okay, it says the next slide. It says ungodly Hebrew women focus on social media drama rather than their own personal problems. So again, in many cases, you will have ungodly Hebrew women doing these things, right? So it says ungodly Hebrew women always on the phone, on social media, gossiping, rather than taking care of their own responsibilities. Next point says ungodly Hebrew women have a lot of social media boyfriends and seek their validation for attention rather than follow Yahweh's blueprint of his righteousness. So as you can see, ungodly Hebrew women always are on the phone, on social media, gossiping. That's what a lot of the modern day women are doing now. Gossiping, entangling in many conversations that is not going to benefit them. So they rather do that than taking care of their own responsibilities. So the Hebrew women spend so much time on social media, she don't understand her whole life is falling apart based upon her choices that she makes. But she still want to have a form of escape to go on social media all day to seek counsel and to ignore her own problems. And it says, ungodly Hebrew women have a lot of social media boyfriends. So that's another problem that a lot of these Hebrew women have. They have a lot of social media boyfriends. That's why a lot of times when men get hooked up with certain women that's out there, they don't understand that they women have other boyfriends out there, mainly primarily on social media. But she has developed these relationships with these men online or in person. So a lot of the women need to stop having social media boyfriends, because it's not going to lead into you getting married. See, it said, and seek their validation for attention. So the ungodly woman, they seek their attention from those social media boyfriends, right? They rather have that going on rather than follow Yahweh's blueprint of his commandments. So that's what make, our Hebrew women go off into sin, because they having all these social media boyfriends and they do certain things that they're not supposed to do, involving themselves with those type of relationships with those men. Okay, so this is just an example of a woman in her phone on social media, of course, doing what she do. It says, understanding ungodly women lacking understanding examples. So it says, ungodly Hebrew women lacking understanding examples. So it says, ungodly Hebrew women have a strong desire to being famous by any means necessary. Next point says, ungodly Hebrew women desire marriage, but don't know anything about marriage according to the Bible. Their marriage understanding is all worldly based. Then it says, ungodly Hebrew women want happiness all in the wrong places. So this is some good points on here to explain why ungodly Hebrew women lack the understanding. So Hebrew women lack the understanding based upon them being ungodly, but they are being ungodly based upon having a strong desire to being famous by any means necessary. So you'll have women that's out there in the world who are Hebrew women, but they're not in truth. You'll have these Hebrew women that do anything just to get famous. They'll sleep around, right? As you can see, this Hebrew woman on a couch. They call this type of couch a casting couch, right? And we know what goes on during these casting couches, right? A lot of these Hebrew women are doing things on these casting couches hoping to get on a TV show. Right? They hoping to get famous by any means, or to get a certain rap career or a music career. They know they have to do certain things to do that, which is going into sin. Which it shows they lack Yahweh's understanding of his righteousness. Then it says, ungodly Hebrew women desire marriage, but don't know anything about marriage. So a lot of the Hebrew women of today's time, they desire marriage, but they don't know anything what marriage entails, right? So that's why I did this series called Biblical Femininity According to the Bible, so ladies can have some type of sense of understanding on what things they need to do for themselves to get right, to be able to get married. Okay. But it says, ungodly Hebrew women desire marriage, but don't know anything about marriage according to the Bible. Their marriage understanding is all worldly based. So Hebrew women not operating in the truth, they believe marriage is just only the wedding ring and the marriage license, right? They believe they're not married only until they get the ring, right? Or only until they get the marriage license. So the Hebrew women of the worldly understanding, they'll continue the sexual promiscuous lifestyle, going on. And they'll still do it up until a point until a man propositions a Hebrew woman that's not in the truth for marriage, right? Then that's when the woman that's not in the truth would be like, hey, I'm ready to settle down, married now. Because she has the marriage ring or the marriage license. But Hebrew women in the truth know that is a business contract between the state or wherever the person is living at. Right? Or that ring is idolatry, right? That wedding ring is idolatry. It go back to ancient Egypt, right? So worldly Hebrew women don't have the understanding of basic common sense when it comes to Bible knowledge. And then it says, ungodly Hebrew women want happiness all in the wrong places. So Hebrew women that's of the world, they seek out happiness all over the place, whether it's in the club, whether it's on drugs, whether it's sleeping around, whether it's partying too much, whether it's worshiping all them different religions. They're going to try to seek happiness all over the place. But they will never find it because they have not converted to the right direction by following Yahweh's laws, statutes, and commandments. So as you can see, this is an example of Hebrew women seeking to be famous or doing things they know they're not supposed to do, but they do it because they want the money. They want the big bag. They want to be recognized. But that's the spirit that our sisters are not supposed to be tapping into, as you can see. So it says Hebrew women in the truth focus points. So it says Hebrew women in the truth focus on bettering themselves first rather than entertain social media gossip. Hebrew women in the truth make sure they can manage their time properly to serve their husband and children first. And the last point says Hebrew women in the truth know how to balance their personal relationship with both Yahweh, Yahshua through Bible note taking and prayer. So this is the key points on how, women that's in the truth can stay consistent in their walk. Okay, so we're not going to elaborate and break everything down. The actual explanation for these points is self-explanatory. Okay, on what the Hebrew women are supposed to do. Just like this example where you have this Hebrew sister, she's focusing on her household. She's making sure the husband is together, and she's making sure her children are together. Okay, as far as having an understanding of the love and unity of a family unit. She's keeping the family together based upon her understanding. These are just examples of the focus points that the daughters of Zion are supposed to have. It says Hebrew women who are mentally broken examples. So the next slide says Hebrew women who are mentally broken examples. So let's go to it. It says they normally have bad credit. They have too many babies by more than 2 men. Their mental health is unstable. They have no stability on family values. They bring no benefit to the table in their relationships with the man. They mainly need to be the one rescued from problems caused by themselves based on their bad life choices. So these are just examples of how a woman and her mind is broken. That's not saying that she cannot be fixed, but these are just examples of how a woman can be broken, or a woman that is broken mentally. They normally have bad credit. So a lot of times these cases, a lot of these Hebrew women have bad credit. Right? See, a lot of the Hebrew women don't know that they supposed to have good credit to be a helpmate unto the man. If the man fall on hard times, they have good credit to apply for certain loans. They have good credit to do certain things, right? Based upon that credit being good by that woman, right? Many women in the world mess their credit up, not understanding that you can carry on debt to your husband based upon you not having good credit. So that's why it's essential for the Hebrew women of today to get their credit together so they can be an asset and a benefit to their husband or future husband. It says they have too many babies by more than 2 men. So a lot of these Hebrew women, just like on this picture right here, they have a bunch of kids by different men, more than 2 men. Right? That's showing you a woman that's mentally broken. As you can see, it's not stable. Their mental health is unstable. It's unstable because she has not sought out counsel from a professional. She has not sought out counsel from the Most High. Right? That's what it's applying. It says they have no stability on family values because most of the time women that are broken, their households were not in good standing. So a lot of cases, these women were raised only by their mom or grandmother. They was not raised by their father. Right? So that's why a lot of these women are broken at times.
You already know everything about you.
Right.
Let's go ahead and take a look at your journey on Pop the Balloon.
How many kids you got?
I got 3.
You got 3?
Yep.
How many baby daddies?
I have 3.
You got 3 baby daddies.
Yes.
Okay. How many kids you have?
I have 2.
How many baby daddies?
2.
2? Okay. So you didn't think after the first one that you wanted to marry the next one?
No.
No? How many kids you have?
Preference. I have 3.
You have
25,
3?
18, and 12.
Okay. How many baby daddies?
2.
2. Okay. But I just want you to understand, when it comes to a man of top tier, we give you a few from one man. If you have multiple from a different man, that disqualifies yourself.
So it disqualifies the top tier.
He said nothing wrong. Like, it devalues the woman when you go through multiple men and have multiple baby daddies. We don't want to deal with that. If you got 3 kids and 3 baby daddies, it's like, damn, your decision-making skills are horrible.
Because there's no stability on family values that was being implemented unto this woman to know, so she's lacking in that understanding. Next point says they bring no benefit to the table in their relationships with a man, because many cases these women are users, gold diggers, right? They're only there in these relationships temporarily until they find somebody that's better. Right? So a lot of time these women with the gold digger spirit, they're not going to bring nothing to the table once they get with a man as far as being a girlfriend or wife. They're not going to really bring anything to the table. So these just all red flags, for a man to know about. Okay? It says they mainly need to be the one rescued from problems caused by themselves based on their bad life choices. So yeah, a lot of these Hebrew women that's operating on a worldly understanding, and also these Hebrew women who are mentally broken, these are the points that they do. They the ones that are always going to need to be rescued because they don't have their mental health together. They don't have nothing stable in their income. Right? So they looking for a sugar daddy. They looking for somebody that carry the bill for them. Which, if you go back up to the top, they have too many babies by more than two men, because that's a form of brokenness behavior to have kids by multiple men. And then you go all down, they mainly need to be the ones rescued from problems. So a lot of these women get pregnant, have all these babies so they can get child support to overcome certain problems that was caused by the Hebrew woman, right? These problems that she was going through was not caused by her children. These problems were not caused by her parents. These problems were caused based upon that particular woman's own problems that she created. That's the point. It says how Hebrew women who are mentally broken need to repent example. So now we went from Hebrew women who are mentally broken examples. Next point, now we're going to see how Hebrew women who are mentally broken, we're going to see how the Hebrew women who are broken, we're going to see how they need to repent. So these just are some examples. It says they need to repent as a Hebrew Israelite woman in the truth by keeping Yahweh's commandments with the faith of Yahshua. Next point, they need to fix their credit history. Number 3, they need to know that they are supposed to be the helpmate unto the man. The next point says they need to stop having babies out of wedlock. And then the last point right here says they need to get their mental health together before getting into a new serious relationship. So, as you can see, these are just some pointers on how a Hebrew woman can get on top of their mental health, right? Because mental health is essential, right? But definitely the women that's struggling with their credit, they definitely need to fix up their credit history, because credit is very essential in your survival mode in America. It says they need to know that they are supposed to be the helpmate unto the man. So these Hebrew women that are broken mentally, they need to now know that, hey, you are the helpmate unto the man. So that's something that has to be taught to the woman, to know that they are helpmate unto the man. And this is why we have on Kingdom Builders Israel biblical femininity examples of how a woman can be a helpmate unto her husband. So we have those examples uploaded on this series. It says, the next point, they need to stop having babies out of wedlock. Exactly. Our sisters need to stop having babies out of wedlock. They need to get married to a man that's in the truth. Okay? The last point says, they need to get their mental health together before getting into a new serious relationship. So this is a key essential what the Hebrew women of today must do. A lot of women are not doing this. They're 1 minute dating a man, and then after that they're done with him. Then less than a week or 2 weeks or even a month, they off with the next guy. And it's an ongoing cycle, back and forth, back and forth. Now, this woman not knowing that she has a mental health issue. Some women don't know, but that's because they have to cater to getting checked up on. So everything will be all right. But again, they have to get their mental health together before getting involved in a new relationship. Because most of our women that are broken, they are involved with relationships. Well, this understanding right here is explaining if a person is not married or not involved with somebody. Okay? These are the ones that need to get their mental health together before getting into a new serious relationship. Because most of the women, they just want to date around and hope to find the right guy. That's backwards. So, as you can see, Israel, this is the completion of Biblical Femininity according to the Bible, part 4. So, hopefully, Israel, you took your notes on this understanding. So, going forward, out of the whole series, you now got a basis of what you're supposed to do as Hebrew women. What's your purpose in life? Okay? So, as long as you got those fundamentals in your mind and your consciousness or on your notes, you'll be all right in this walk. So other than that, Israel, hopefully you enjoyed this lesson on Kingdom Builders of Israel C YouTube channel. Other than that, Israel, shalom.